Let's do it.
Right meow, right meow.
Right? Yeah.
We're live right meow. Okay, welcome to Hit or Miss. I'm your host, Night Strike, and this evening I've got an interesting group of panelists. We might get some more people in, we might not. It just depends on what happens this evening. But those that did attend right away, that were in there first, are among the few, the many, the proud, the panelists. The first one was Travis P11. What's going on, Travis?
Hey man, I'm doing okay. How you doing tonight? You good?
I'm doing good. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to do
Yeah.
hit or miss. I know things have been literally hit or miss Tuesday nights 9:00, but not really because I've been dealing with family issues. I've been dealing with just life in general, and you know how that gets.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, I appreciate the invite. It feels good to be back. I've been missing being on the show for the last couple of weeks, and yeah, it's gonna be a good night. I think we have a lot to talk about. I think there's a lot of good information we have for people. It's definitely gonna be a hit tonight. Now that we're all here, that's all I gotta say.
Right now, I'm gonna later on this during the show. I'm probably gonna set up a poll for you guys because I'm thinking of changing the format of hit or miss instead of every Tuesday night. Either having it, I'll have the options like keep it every Tuesday night, keep it every second Tuesday, or just once a month because it's getting harder for me to do this every week. So I want some input from the audience out there, and if there's no input, then I'll put it up as a poll on the community tab so we can go over that, and we'll continue running until we get that poll all voted on. All right,
dude, you've only been doing this for like 6 years. What the hell are you talking about?
I know. I need more time.
You've been doing this longer than I've been doing Caliber. I do Caliber Corner because you do this. You can't stop doing this. You can't give up on us. I mean, come on, man. Did the Americans give up when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No, absolutely not.
Wait, whoa. I thought it was the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Isn't he a history teacher?
No,
I don't know. Just let him go. It's from Animal House.
Travis, I know you're not a history teacher, but
it's a joke from Animal House. It was a movie that came out before you were born, so you wouldn't get it.
But what the que pasa?
Nada, amigo, nada. Está bien.
All right. Anyways. Next up, we got Scott. What's going on, Scott?
Not much.
How you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
All right. And then, we've got everyone's most controversial panelist ever. We've got Sean Ponery. What's going on, Sean?
I don't know why I'm so controversial. I like sandwiches just like everybody else.
You are controversial all over the place because you're typing up a storm while I'm introducing you.
I'm just preempting your poll in the chat.
Yeah.
As he goes to read the chat.
I see it as you typed it, you asshole. Oh boy. All right. Anyways, so tonight we got a couple topics to talk about. The one we're primarily going to get into is the one that's on that everybody's talking about lately, and people are pissed off. And I was watching the news today, just drinking my coffee this morning, and people are still pissed off about it. It's all over the news.
What, the death of Queen Elizabeth?
No. One of the other topics we're going to talk about. But the first on the docket tonight we're going to talk about is there's an activist urging the court to overturn the bump stock ban. And I know, but let me go through this. This one's going to be real quick. Most people didn't know about bump stocks until Las Vegas shooting. Although those of us that are gun folk did, of course, but many of us just thought it was a novelty, a tool you could use to facilitate something you could just as easily do with a rubber band or a belt loop, but unfortunately Las Vegas did happen. In the aftermath, we ended up losing. We ended up with a ban on bump stocks. So anyways, now a gun rights activist is asking a federal court to overturn those rules. A gun rights activist will urge a federal appeals court on Tuesday to block a Trump administration rule banning bump stocks, gun accessories that allow semi-automatic guns to fire many times in rapid succession. Not really. That's not really how it works because you're still pulling the trigger each and every time.
It takes a lot of practice to master it.
Oh, I had it mastered. I could do it with the AK even without a bump stock. It's only because it's an AK. Anyways, Michael Cargill is asking the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans to reverse a decision by a panel of 3 of its judges upholding the ban, which took effect in March of 2019. The ATF, which passed the ban, and a lawyer for Cargill did not immediately respond to requests for comment, which they should have. Cargill argues that the ATF lacked the authority to reinterpret the statute. He said that even if it did have the authority, its interpretation would be wrong because a shooter using a bump stock must simultaneously push forward on a gun's barrel and pull back on its trigger in order to fire rapidly, rather than simply holding the trigger down. The governors maintained that the agency is entitled to deference in interpreting federal law under the Supreme Court's landmark 1984 ruling in Chevron USA versus Inc. versus Natural Resources Defense Council Inc. Unfortunately, there was an opportunity this year to overturn Chevron, but the court didn't, and that's a shame. That would have made this case a slam dunk, especially after Bruin. However, following Bruin, it may still be enough of a challenge, though. I wouldn't hold my breath. The truth is that under current law, while there's no reason these should have been categorized as a machine gun because it's just pieces of plastic, the ATF has the ability to change the rules arbitrarily, which they shouldn't, because I don't remember voting for, any ATF member to be in the ATF. Scott, do you remember voting for any ATF member?
Definitely not.
Travis, did you vote for any ATF member?
Maybe. No, just kidding.
Sean, did you vote for an ATF, the ATF chief?
No, and I sure as hell didn't vote to turn them into a legislative branch either.
Exactly. And that's my fucking point. And excuse me for the language. I mean, if you've got children around, please cover their ears because you may hear a couple more.
Fuck up.
But this kind of stuff pisses me off. We can't have rogue elements of the government in the form of agencies making up laws. I don't vote for people every fucking November just so an agency can decide its own rules and regulations.
They're not even a legislative branch.
Exactly.
Like, where's the judicial review for that? It's like, wait a minute, you're not a lawmaking body.
I know. There is no judicial review. There's nothing. It's like there is no federal oversight for the ATF. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Anyways, unfortunately, it is unlikely Supreme Court will decide now to overturn that authority. The appeals court in question most definitely won't do any such thing, since they have to use precedents set down by SCOTUS. The truth is that we're having more issues with criminals having full auto-capable weapons now than when the rules on bump stocks were implemented. While bump stocks were mostly just novelties, full auto switches are popping up all over the place, despite having been illegal all along. Really?
Yeah, you can thank the Chinese
Almost
for
like
that.
murder. Imagine that.
Almost
like they should sanction the Chinese government for selling them.
Clearly, the bump stock ban is really making us all safer, right?
Are you suggesting we ban Etsy?
Or Weibo, or Alibaba?
Wish. Of course, bump stocks weren't an issue before Las Vegas, and they likely wouldn't have been afterward either. At least they wouldn't have been if not for a constant pontification of know-nothing activists who blathered on endlessly about them in the media anyway. So we hope it gets overturned. It needs to be overturned, but we're not sure it will be. That's the end of that article. And again, I'm not trying to be a downer on that. That's how that article was worded. But it's the issue that the ATF lately has been, well, they're supposed to be the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, okay? And all we ever hear is how they go door to door to somebody's house to take away their solvent trap that they purchased legally, or to take away said this or that they shouldn't have bought in the first place, or to take away their drop-in trigger because the ATF now has decided that it's a machine gun, even though the ATF isn't an elected body of the government and shouldn't be making up laws in the first place in determinations like that. That's not their job, but they did it anyways. And that's the problem. I mean, we don't hear about them going after moonshiners. I don't hear about it. They should be. Yes, it's still a thing. They should be going after moonshiners. They should be going after people making illegal explosives. They should be going after people for illegal tobacco. But no, what are they doing? They're trying to take everybody's guns because obviously they don't have any fucking work to do otherwise.
I don't agree with any of that. You see, the thing is there's this thing called redundancy, and you have an FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigators, who are desperately trying to rebuild the tatters of their reputation for, like, say, the last, I don't know, 5 to 10
reputation?
years. Exactly. But they've been trying desperately to rebuild their image, right? And they don't have anything to do. And the fact of the matter is everything that the ATF was created for is redundant. Because if you want to take alcohol and tobacco, the regulation of both of those and the taxation of both of those used to be handled by a bureau called the Bureau of Weights and Measures, which still exists, which means you don't need the ATF to do that anymore. And firearms and explosives, guess what? Used to be handled by the FBI, who are desperately trying to rebuild their image and look for shit to do. And if you get requires more review on your 4473, guess who that goes to? The FBI. So that means the ATF doesn't have to even handle firearms or explosives. They're literally just a militant arm of the Department of Treasury. It's a loophole to add more restrictions on the people from an entity that shouldn't have any say-so in legislative anything. And yet we have allowed it because we're led by idiots, and those idiots have convinced us that we need them.
I'm not convinced of anything.
Well, I'm just talking about the masses.
Yeah, well,
I'm convinced we're led by idiots.
And you can disagree with me all you want. That is your right. That is your First Amendment. But I'm telling you right now that the ATF doesn't have enough work to do already. So instead of doing what they're actually supposed to do, they're just going after people, taking people's guns and their accessories because they don't have anything else to do.
How many crimes have that? How many crimes has that?
I mean, because let's be honest, they should be going after people who illegally fill out 4473s and lie on them. They should be going after people like that. They should, what else should they be doing? They should be going after criminals that are caught with illegal firearms. But are they doing that? No.
They're doing that in Tennessee.
Well, I haven't heard about it.
They're pushing for stiffer penalties on actually prosecuted criminals. They're pushing for that now because there's a trial going on right now, and they're trying to throw the book at the guy. Which, bravo! If you're guilty, then yeah, you should have the book thrown at you.
Right, but the problem is that's the only place you hear it. You don't hear about it anywhere else because they're not doing it anywhere else. They don't give a damn.
No, because everyone's too busy watching The View and seeing a bunch of sexless old fat-ass cows sitting there talking about how great they are and how miserable everyone else is.
Because they're rich.
Because we're being led by idiots.
Of course we're being led by idiots. Look, our commander-in-chief can't even say a coherent statement. He says stuff like this.
Cue the soundboard.
All men and women created by go, you know the thing.
And he says stuff like this.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
How do you spell that?
Children under pressure?
Yeah, and then he says stuff like this.
The AFT.
Okay, so I rest my case on our president can't say a coherent statement whatsoever. Anyways, but as I was saying, yes, idiots, that one right there. But again, I didn't vote for him. So those of you that didn't vote for Trump, you certainly got what you asked for. I hope you enjoy it. Because this is what we got. And if you don't like that, well, I'm sorry you don't like it, but reality's a bitch.
I, for one, like this new Angry Night Strike.
New?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Me too. He's very
mean.
much to the point and very
He's very
precise.
mean.
He's very surgical in his strikes.
He's very mean. He's been around me way too long.
Yeah, he's. Yep.
I hang out with double O douchebag and Scott too much. That's the
Hey!
Oh, jeez! Wow!
Yeah, no kidding.
Spicy Night Strike.
It's okay, we'll get him back.
problem. They'll get me back later for that, but I've been waiting to use that one, Sean.
Connor's had your back for all these years.
I know.
Now he's going to turn around and just.
I know.
He's just
should apologize
He-
right now.
He's picking on those who own RPKs.
Wow.
I am.
What you're saying is being a jealous bitch?
Yes.
Man.
I'll even own up.
I
to
hope
it,
you
too.
win the celebrity death pool so I can get you those hot pink Lancer mags.
Hot pink Lancer Megs, baby.
Yeah, we were
Get them
talking.
hot.
By the way, we were talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and because Scott posted a link to me and Sean earlier before the chat of Lancer see-through mags, and they were what is it, hot pink?
Yes.
They're bright
Mhm.
pink.
They were bright pink colored see-through Lancer mags. The ones with the metal feed lips and everything, and. Travis said those would be great for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Which is in October, by the way.
I can
Is
get
it
him
in
back
October?
right now.
Mm-hmm. I just looked it up. I thought about buying some to give away.
now.
Yeah.
I can
So-
so get you back right now.
I know you can. I know you
I
can.
have to get you those mags because you've got the breasts to be aware of.
Oh, there
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
There you go. He got me
They'll
right
match the
back.
blue dress. Wah,
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 wah, wah. Hold on. I got sound for that too.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Was that the Raven?
Yeah, that's a crow. Awkward. It's what it says on the soundboard. Awkward. But yeah, so there's that. Now we got another topic to talk about tonight.
Yes. The real one, the serious one.
Yeah, it's the main topic because every one of us in the room has something to say on this. Like, I know, Scott, you got something to say on this because you're pissed off about this. Sean has too. He's stated some great things this afternoon when he had a conversation over it. Travis, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this too. But I'm going to open with this, Travis, and if he's listening, well, buddy, you started this, and unfortunately, guess what? They've got you now because, Squib's favorite saying is just put it on the credit card. And unfortunately, now credit card companies are watching. So Squib, I hate to say this, but this is your fault. I'm calling you out, Squib. This is your fault.
Oh, man.
Because the major credit card processors have agreed to use new gun store transaction codes to track purchases. So you want your de facto registry? Well, we got it right here. All the government needs is just to tap in to those companies' transactions, and there you go.
Game over, man. Game over. You need that sound clip, Night Strike.
I need that one. I
You
need that one.
Game over, man. Game over.
But anyways, for those that don't know, I think it's Visa, MasterCard, and I don't know which other processor is with it.
All of them. Visa, MasterCard,
But-
American Express.
I think it's Visa, MasterCard, American Express. The major ones are all using the instead of gun purchases used to be marked with all major credit card companies as general merchandise. Okay, but now with these new guidelines or codes, they're now listed under a firearms code now.
sort of.
I like
So-
firearms and accessories, I think.
So this was supposed to happen since the Obama administration. It's actually done. It wasn't done by an administration. It was done by the ISO, which is the one who sets like the standards for everything. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to change the classifications because firearms are being sold under the category of sporting goods. So
Well, they are sporting goods.
Right. Well, to a degree, but they're saying that hair is too thick and it needs to be split. And ultimately, what it is I've been an e-tailer for almost 21 years. So like I've seen the credit card statements from my business, and the way it looks is it shows you all the transactions at the end of the month. It says the last 4 digits of each credit card, the day the transaction was done, the amount that it was done, and then the category. And for a firearm, it would say sporting goods. For like a restaurant, it would say something like hospitality and restaurant or something like that. And, they've been pushing for this probably since around 2008. And they just kept getting browbeat over it over and over and over throughout the years. And they finally gave in, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, but the problem is giving in leads to the government becoming more and more tyrannical, unfortunately.
So you and I talked about this morning, and we all look at this differently. So we should talk about why we don't like it. Like, what do we see is happening because of it, though? Because I think the way you see it's completely different than the way I saw it.
Well, no, not entirely, but I do agree with you that it could be used the way you said earlier this morning about how that they can now delay the process even further than it already is when you're buying a firearm.
Well, if you want it, I'll start it off.
Let's play into that one first, Scott. Right. Then we'll go to you, and you can tell us your qualms about this, and then we'll go to Travis. Okay.
All right. So the way I look at this is twofold, because essentially what they're doing can cause damage on 2 different fronts. The first one is they're going to shut down merchants wholesale, because what they're going to do is they're going to say, look, somebody's going to come into your shop. They're going to buy a firearm. The credit card will process it at the time of the purchase. If the person who purchased it passed their background check or didn't have to do one because they have a concealed handgun license in their state, they get to leave with the merchandise that day. 30 days after that transaction, at the end of the month, at the end of the fiscal month, when the merchant gets his statement from the credit card processors, they're going to get exemptions on their statement saying, we're not going to pay you and turn over the funds for these certain charges because we know that these are firearms purchases, which means the merchant has lost the merchandise and the money, which means he's lost twice. And what that's going to do is 2 things. One, enough merchants are going to get pissed off that they're going to force new laws to be passed under what's about to become the next great civil rights movement of our generation. It's going to turn into what they're going to probably call fiscal discrimination or industrial discrimination.
Well, they've already started that with the banks.
Well, that's part of it, right? So they're going to push that until it becomes an actual named offense. Right now, there isn't one, right? It hasn't been done yet. It hasn't been taken to court yet. So it could actually lead to new laws or new legal terms and new lawsuits because of those legal terms saying you are discriminating an entire industry or you are discriminating commerce in the name of social justice, which is unfounded and ignorant in the first place. That's the first part of it. The second part of it, and the most dangerous part of this, not only is it going to shut down FFLs who probably sold, let's say an FFL sold $300,000 worth of merchandise in a month, and they're denied $300,000 revenue, and they're out all the material that they sold that month, right? Because you can't ask those people to bring it back. They're going to go out of business because they can't afford the hit. So on top of all of this, it's going to end up forcing a nationwide waiting period. Because what's going to happen is merchants are going to be like, look, I know you want to buy this, and I know your credit card processed this, but I cannot turn this over to you for 30 days because I have to wait to see if the merchant gave me the money for it. Otherwise, you're walking off with something and I lose the money and the product. So what they have done is they have tripled the California waiting list or the waiting period for the entire nation because businesses are going to be scared shitless to turn over the merchandise until they know they're going to get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger danger here.
Because I agree with you. They could do that, but if they do that,
beat us legally. So they have to beat you by fucking over the merchant, forcing the merchant to look like the bad guy, and creating the waiting period that's even worse than anything passed in law right now. They're going to say, "Oh, we'll take it up with them. They're the ones who told you can't have it for 30 days. We didn't tell you that they didn't do that." We're like, yeah, but you set it up, so they had to do that because you are withholding their funds. So they have to protect their assets because you're about to ruin their industry. Then again, that's discrimination. So that's the two pieces right there. This is going to get real ugly really fast.
Well,
Especially
you
if
forget
have a guy
what
like
the
a Mark
merchants are
Levin.
going to do.
If you got a guy like a Mark Levin who's a constitutional lawyer and he actually has the testicular fortitude to stand up and fight for this, he will be the guy that they will name this law after to categorize basically industrial discrimination because that's what it is. It doesn't have a color.
Well, he hasn't got off his ass yet.
I know, but he talks a damn good game, doesn't he?
he does.
Yeah,
he does.
talks a good game.
Have you seen his show? His show is pretty good too.
It is, but every time I hear it, I get angry. Like I want to reach across the screen and choke the life out of him because it's like, look, you say all the right things. Now lead the people. That's your job. I used to have this problem with Rush Limbaugh for decades. I was like, you talk a good game. Get off your ass and lead these people. They need a general. That's you. And he's like, I don't do that. I just
The
motivate
other thing that they're going to do is if they start fucking over the retailers, the retailers will start a class action lawsuit against them.
Yeah, you know how many years that is, though? And how many injunctions that are going to work against them until it's already hashed out? They're going to go out of business because it's going to be just like the KE Arms thing. They're going to get bled out financially fighting this shit. That should have never hit their doorstep in the first place.
Right. Now, we got a couple questions from the YouTube side that I want to address before we go into it, and then we'll go to you, Scott, because I want to hear what you have to say because you had some certain insight earlier this afternoon about this. So, let's see. Where was it? Here it is. Give the Democrat a cookie. The rat will want a glass of milk mentally. Oh my god! All right. It's like at Night Strike. Curious what if you took the funds out from an ATM with cash? Would banks try to control that?
No.
No, because you're getting cash out. That's they can't. You put the cash into your bank account. You are allowed to take the cash out. They have no control over what cash The only control they have technically is the control that you are contractually obligated with your bank account to keep a certain minimum balance.
No,
that's about it.
No,
or withdrawal amount per day.
Exactly. $9,999 before they make you fill out a tax form. They will find out.
So thank God the RBK is cheaper.
Here's the biggest problem with this. They're saying that they're going to do this in the name of trying to stop suspicious purchases, but they didn't define what that was. So when you ask what the suspicious purchases are, they don't have an answer, which means they're going into this half-cocked because they wanted to leave it vague. Because here's the problem, and the other Mike, Guns and Gear, he brought this up today very, very eloquently. What is a suspicious purchase? Because what about the guy who goes who stops at, say, Walmart back in the day, or his local FFL, and he picks up 3 boxes of ammo every Friday religiously because he goes to the range on Saturday because that's how he blows off a little steam? Is that a suspicious purchase? How about the guy who buys a Terran tactical rifle that's $4,000? That's a pretty high dollar amount for a single purchase. Is that suspicious? How about the guy who buys 4 guns?
Or hold on, Sean. How about the guy who saved up his pennies and wanted to buy a Barrett?
I was that guy.
I
was that guy. Was that a suspicious?
Except you didn't buy a Barrett.
No, I didn't buy a Barrett.
I bought the Jurassic World rifle, but it took me 11 months of scraping money and setting it aside to do it.
Well, that's my point. I mean, the Barrett would take much longer, but you work your ass off. You get the money together. It's like, I want to buy it. Okay,
Correct.
you bought it. You paid it for it with your credit card that you put the money on, but unfortunately, I can't give it to you for 30 days because hey, they
I
haven't
have
given
to
me
make
my
sure I
money
get
yet.
paid. Exactly. That's the de facto waiting period. They put it off. They pawn off the responsibility of this bullshit and try to make the vendor look like the bad guy when he's just trying to cover his ass. And that's what's despicable about this. And yet, who's going to stop it? Because apparently we can't stop anything.
It's done. It doesn't matter. It's already
We
done.
can't
Deal with all the
recall
credit card
shitty
companies, guys.
governors. We can't recall crappy district attorneys. How are we going to stop this? How are we going to stop what's coming in December?
Well, we
haven't gotten to that subject.
We haven't gotten to that yet. That's going to be a situation in itself. But anyways, let's go to Scott. I want to hear Scott's perspective on this. Scott, you had a very interesting perspective on this earlier today. You want to run us by it?
Which I don't actually remember.
We were talking about it. You had a really it was really good, and then
wrote it down.
You should have wrote it down, Scott.
You should have wrote it down.
I'm not going to write down what he has to say.
Man, that's show prep.
I know, right?
I know. Not my show.
No, thanks, Scott. All right.
See, revenge is coming from everywhere right now.
I know. I see it. I see it right now. Thank you. Travis, what is your perspective on this?
Well, a couple things kind of scare me there. So who's reporting the suspicious activity? The credit card companies, the banks are gonna flag somebody's purchase and report that to the ATF, or
great
is that who's gonna actually, because they keep saying, oh, it's gonna allow us to to look for suspicious activity. Not only that, if somebody's gonna do something, they're gonna buy it. If it even it gets flagged as suspicious and the sale goes through, they're still gonna do what they want to do.
But right, where's the bar?
I know. What is like you just said. What if I want to buy 5 lowers and a bunch of parts kits and a bunch of mags because everything's on sale that weekend? I mean, I do a lot of my purchases like on the holiday weekends when stuff's on sale. I buy a couple of ARs and I buy 5,000 rounds of ammo because it's free shipping and it's the lowest price ever. Am I going to get a knock on my door for not doing anything illegal?
Yes. You see, Tony York is a perfect example of this. He has multiple grandchildren. He turned around one day, as a good grandfather does, and he bought a bunch of Heritage Rough Rider pistols, 22 caliber revolvers, right? I think he bought 4 in a single purchase. Now, most of you know, if you go to your FFL and you buy more than one firearm, they have to fill out extra paperwork for that. He bought 4 without a care in the world because he was just being a good granddad. He's like, no, I got 4 grandkids. They're all getting one. Is that a suspicious purchase? Like, who set the bar? They didn't say. They won't say.
Technically, that is a suspicious purchase because because they're handguns, even though they're 22s. They have to. Yes, because this country sucks. They have to get 22 reported.
22 sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna go controversial. Fuck rimfire.
Now, let's not steal the thunder of the main topic. Come on now.
All right, Mr. 9mm.
I'll go more controversial.
That feels dirty.
5.7 is centerfire 22.
Yes.
Ooh, that's more controversial. But
I'm just, when they're confronted with this question of what is a suspicious purchase, they instantly deflect from answering it, and that's vile because it's like they're going
because they don't want to answer it
because they don't have an answer. They want to leave it vague so they can move the goalposts as many times as they want, just like the ATF.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what we talked about earlier too.
Oh, please.
So, who doesn't think that the ATF isn't going to somehow create a registry out of that?
You mean unlike the one they already have from all those 4473s that should have been destroyed?
That they had to destroy like 5 or 6 years. Well, it was years ago now. That Congress found out about and told them, "Hey, destroy that. That's illegal." Which they supposedly did, and then they started doing it again under Obama. Shocker.
Mm-hmm. Shocker.
But you don't think that they're gonna, get notifications? Hey, this guy bought, $700 and it's under this code, which means it's a firearm or accessory. We need to go speak with them.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That is the problem.
We need to find out what they bought.
Right.
We suspect it was done illegally.
And
therefore, we need to go contact them.
Yeah. You mean like that guy that had a solvent trap for his AR, or that allegedly had a solvent trap that the ATF went to go and confiscate the other day?
Yeah.
And then he told them, do you have a warrant? And they said no. And then they tried to tell him on his own property where to put his hands.
Yeah.
And then they tried to bully him into have him handing over the property he paid for, because they said so. And
which may or may not have used
resulted in a comment of Waco and Ruby Ridge and shall not be infringed, which was my favorite part. But again, things like that, unfortunately, are going to be happen more and more around this country.
They're setting this up so that the ATF goes out and kills people.
Mm-hmm.
That's plain and simple what it is.
Basically, what they're doing is they're setting the ATF up to be more and more distrustful, period. Where you cannot trust the government anymore whatsoever. Not that you really could in the first place, anyways. But some people are naive.
So that'll stop very quickly.
I'm honestly just surprised that somebody hasn't even there hasn't been a gunfight yet because of this, because these people rolling up on people's front porches and not leaving and threatening. I'm really surprised somebody hasn't just said,
showing up in tactical gear.
Enough is enough. You're going to roll up on my property. You're not going to leave when I ask you to. I mean, I'm really surprised. I'm not citing anything.
I'm shocked that nobody hasn't called their county sheriff in a gun-friendly state and said, "Hey, I got some idiots trespassing on my shit. Come get them out."
Okay, so I want to ask a question because maybe somebody knows this. Who has more legal jurisdiction? Your local sheriff or the ATF?
County sheriffs.
Is that for sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they go back to the founding of the country.
Local law enforcement, police, and county sheriffs have local jurisdiction over the territory, even if federal supersedes them as far as the law goes. The problem
You're
is
sure of this because the ATF has the right to deputize your local sheriffs and give them the exact same powers they have.
Yes,
that's only so they can enforce federal law.
That's only to enforce federal law. But when it comes to local law, the local authorities have territory over their jurisdiction.
If you live in any city or town that has a municipal police department,
yes,
that is not constitutional.
Yeah.
They are literally hired mercenaries.
Yeah. All right. So, roll call. We got off on a tangent on the ATF, but welcome, buddy. Thanks for jumping in. I know you have something to say, so go ahead. What is your perspective on the whole credit card thing? I may not agree with it, but hey, it's your opinion. You're allowed to it.
Use cash. Draw your money out. Go to a federal or go to a credit union. Try that. Do it that way. I mean, they can't until the Biden dollar is solid. That's coming down in December. There's nothing they can do. What are they going to do? Oh, he bought a bunch of stuff at a shop. Well, it's never going to tell you what they bought. They're going to have to physically go to a store. Like when we didn't quite get in trouble at the gun shop, but when they do a gun trace, if it was local where they did a gun trace, they would come in and they would ask for the printout. And that's how they figured out how they were buying the guns. That happened. I think that happened twice. Where they got the the printout for the how they paid for it, when they bought it, and what they bought. That would be the only way for them to figure out what you bought. Now, what's really concerning is, what if you do buy $300 worth of stuff because it's Black Friday?
Right.
you know, and then they show up at your,
or say it's a Labor Day or Memorial Day sale.
yeah, it's just like any sale, because there's always sales.
There's always sales.
There's going to be a thing in Michigan that I'm probably going to go to where they're going to be cutting deals for stuff. Like, so if people use their credit card, how are they going to figure out what they bought from this code that they mark these purchases with? They're not.
That's what we were talking about. The vagueness of not only the category, but the vagueness of what do they consider a suspicious purchase. So
Yeah.
You brought up the thing about cash, and you're correct. However, the thing is most people, like, we know this, okay? People don't read physical books anymore because they have the internet and they have tablets so they can hold thousands of books in the palm of their hand. It's a modern convenience. Credit cards are the same way. People don't carry cash anymore because they can't get robbed at gunpoint for a piece of plastic, not like, cash. The fact of the matter is most people who buy things on credit card do it for two reasons: convenience, or buying outside of what they had in their pocket in liquid cash. And that's what most people do. They're like,
then they just pay it off.
Exactly. They're like, look, this place does not finance this item. I need to buy it. The credit card has this limit. I buy the Barrett. I don't have to pay 10 grand up front. Who the hell is playing Tetris?
Travis?
Phone call.
Okay.
Oh man, that's a copyright.
That's a copyright. Thanks, Travis.
That's a
I
copyright.
know that sound. Anyway, the point is people use credit cards not only because it's a modern convenience, because electronic transfers and whatever. They buy up. They're just like, look, I'm not paying 10 grand for a Barrett up front. I'll pay with the card, and I'll pay you 2 grand over for 5 months to pay it off, because that's more digestible, because I have kids and soccer practice and karate and a shitty, Hyundai that keeps breaking down, or whatever their problem is. That's why this is so dangerous, because we have been given this modern convenience, and we have become accustomed to using this modern convenience. And once again, they're moving the fucking goalposts unnecessarily in the name of social justice, which nobody asked for.
Well, I mean, that's true, but you got to look at it this way. I mean, where's this information going to go? That's another question that I have. So say somebody buys a bunch of stuff. Where does that information go? When does the invasion of privacy, when is your Fourth Amendment kick in? Your papers, and all your effects.
Mike, check your PMs.
You know what I'm saying?
I see it.
When does that come into effect where your constitutional rights are violated? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I won't ever use a bank. I'll pay cash for everything, cash, gold, or silver. Because if they're going to start giving my information to the government willingly, because we have to do this, what you call it, social justice, or to protect the kids, as I like to call it, that's a problem. Then that will start becoming a constitutional problem, and then the Supreme Court might have to hear this case because it affects over 3 million people, maybe even more.
About 60 million.
Yeah.
The thing is, well, let's answer Mrs. Wayne's question, because the question was, what about prepaid credit cards? The problem with that,
it's still a credit card.
You can put money. We talked about this earlier today, actually, in my lobby. You can put money into a prepaid credit card. That's like putting it into a bank account, right? The problem is that prepaid credit card typically has a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express logo, which means it is processed through that credit card processor, which means it can still be denied.
Yeah, the only way you're going to avoid this is to draw cash out. That's the only way you're going to avoid this kind of treachery that they're cooking up here. That's the only way you're going to do it. And if we do go to some kind of cryptocurrency here in December, as they're talking about, or after December, maybe January, you got to look at it this way. Are we as a society, I mean, there's a lot of people that would, bow down to this kind of weirdness. I call it weirdness. I don't believe in credit. I don't believe in credit cards. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't believe in it. And if you don't believe me now, you should ask all these people where the ATF is showing up on the doorsteps of people, because these companies are having to release this information. I mean, there's no way around it. All they have to do is get the IRS involved, and these companies have to give up their records because they have to see where their income's coming from.
Oh, you
So
mean those 87,000 new agents?
You
Yeah.
brought up a good point.
That's
though.
IRS.
You said,
It's different. That's where they're getting the money. That's where they send the people to figure out where they got the money to pay for these items.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
you brought up a really good point. You said, where does it become a constitutional issue?
exactly.
The fact
When
of the
does it
matter
when
is
does it become a constitutional
it
issue?
already
I mean,
is. It
how
already is.
yeah, well, of course, man. I mean, especially if somebody's going to give you, like, this is like I don't know, somebody giving your information to a third party, and you don't want that third party to have your information.
Let me expand on why I think it's a constitutional issue, though, because I think the bigger picture here is a lot of people don't seem to tie the two together. Because
by the way, Sean, before you go on your rant, I wanted to tell you on the internet there was somebody that called the sheriff on an ATF agent for a Clio that had been generated from the guy, and he closed his door and called the sheriff.
Yeah,
it's a funny video. It's a funny
did
video,
the
but it
sheriff
did
actually
happen.
tell the ATF to leave?
The sheriff arrested him.
Nice.
them.
Okay,
There's also another one where the guy in
But that
Ohio.
was actually a criminal that was a
that
prohibited
warms the
purchaser.
cockles of one's heart.
Yeah.
The reason I said this is a
Still
constitutional
funny, though.
crisis already is because if you look at the way that the documents of this country are written, every single thing written in the name of gun control is a direct infringement on the law-abiding citizen. So it's already a constitutional crisis. See, the fact of the matter is every piece of gun control legislation is a direct infringement on the law-abiding. Every one of them. Because the Second Amendment was clearly and expressly written as the ultimate check and balance to the government. That's the one right they don't have the authority, the constitutional authority to touch. And yet they touch it inappropriately every single administration.
Well, we have the inappropriate toucher in chief currently.
The sniffer in chief.
The sniffer in chief.
Dementia in chief. Enter your platitude here. The fact of the matter is it's
hairy
already
legs
a constitutional crisis. Nobody wants to call it for what it is. Everything is. I mean, if you want to think about it like this, the GCA, the NFA, the Hughes Amendment, they're all constitutional violations. The ATF, they're the Gestapo. They're the ones enforcing this bullshit. They shouldn't even exist.
Well,
they don't have legislative authority. They don't write law.
Yeah, and I was looking at Instagram today, and what is it called? Obsidian Defense. I think they're around my area. They were like, well, this isn't such a big deal. Yeah, it's kind of infringement, but this is how it goes. It's always been like this. They've always had some kind of code when things walk out the door at a sporting goods shop, because this guy was a retailer. He did things like that. And my question to him was, when are we going to stop accepting infringements? That's
when we
my
stop
question.
Electing those who put them on us.
Well, that's hard to
when
do.
people start listening to me when I say shall not be infringed.
Yeah, I mean, when will this imaginary line be drawn? Because I'm telling you right now, I can't pinpoint it, but I see here in the near future, man. Instead of guns being taboo, they're going to be really, really on the minds of Americans, and it's going to come down to the point where guns will be seized at some point if they keep on doing the things that they're doing, or like what Travis said, something ensues that is going to be a horrible thing, and I don't want to see this.
I don't want to see either.
But then again, you look at like what Sean says, when you stop electing people, or if that was Sean or Scott. But the problem is the people keep on getting elected. I mean, the Republicans continuously shoot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot today. So we need to draw a line on when are we going to stop accepting infringements, and when are we going to stop accepting these politicians, and when are we going to start finding candidates to run for these positions?
The problem of that line, nobody is going to cross right now, because as you know as well as I do, that nobody wants to become a martyr for the cause, because nobody wants to go to prison
or die.
or die.
What's the old saying that the founding fathers saying? Something about hanging. If we all don't hang, then we hang individually. You know, and that's how I look at it at this point. You know, there was a rally. Like I looked at it today. There was, or I think it was yesterday. There was a Monday. I think it was Monday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. There was a rally in PA. There was like 25 people there, if that. I mean, that's counting the speakers, the people that were speaking,
And you
and then
can't even
right
use the
inside
excuse that
the
it was cold
Capitol,
out.
right inside the Capitol, there's about 200 people, and they were talking about bribery and how their officials are being bribed. Now, why can't we have a turnout like that at a
Oh, I can tell
rally?
you. I can tell you that. I know the answer to that.
Go ahead.
This is why conservatism dies on the vine. Because the one thing that the other side does better than us is they organize, they have logistics, they have communications, they do
And they have
all of it
rich
better.
backers.
Like, where's the last time you heard of a conservative riot? There wasn't one, but they're trying to say that there was one on January 6th.
Which
The
it
fact of the
wasn't.
matter is if our side, who is justifiably angry, actually organized like the other side does when they burn down cities, they'd all be dead already. Or they would all be exiled, or they would all be hiding from us because we're on the right side of this. And
You
yet,
mean they'd actually do what they pledged they were going to do and move to Canada?
we can't do what they do because nobody wants to stand up and lead the people to do it. And the one guy who did do that had to waste his entire administration fighting bullshit accusations and garbage legal proceedings, and he had just enough Democrats in his Congress to hamstring him the entire way. You see, if you want to put one party in power and give them a supermajority, you have to give them such a majority that there ain't enough of the other side to stop it. And we don't do that because then we start worrying about autocracies because we're scared of those, realistically speaking. So the only way to solve this problem is you have to find a Justice Department with the actual education and the fortitude to charge the DNC as it is and as it stands as an organized crime syndicate and expel them from national politics. That will force them to make a new party. And
That will
everyone in the
never
old one,
happen. That
everyone
would
in the old
never
one
happen.
are disqualified from joining the new one.
That would never happen, man.
I
That would
know.
never
Do you know
happen.
why? Because when you say it'll never happen, everyone else who says it'll never happen means nobody's going to try to make it happen.
Well, how would you go about doing that?
You
I
have
mean,
to
that
have.
is
Go
that
after
is
them under the
you
RICO
can't-
Act?
First of all, you can't have Merrick Garland. Second of all, you have to make sure you maintain a conservative majority in the Supreme Court, and you make sure that you don't pack the court. And then you have an attorney general who has the guts to actually take it on face value and see it through.
I hate to burst your bubble, man, but if you might as well, put both parties on that scale. And if you're going to indict all these people on one side of the
Oh,
aisle,
there's going to
you
be
have to
losses on both
indict the other
sides.
side because
Absolutely,
they're
there's going to
all
be
in
losses on
cahoots,
both
man.
sides. That's fine.
You know, Congress is the WWE of the world. It's the
That's fine.
biggest show on earth. They will sit there and go tit for tat on the floor, but they will shake hands in the back, and they will have dinners, and they will laugh as they fill their coffers.
Right, because at
So,
the end of the day, they're still
you would
drinking
have
together.
to expunge the whole government at that point.
So be it. So be it. See, the fact of the matter is people today only know the parties that are in front of them. And they don't seem to understand that they were not the first parties and they will not be the last parties. They just keep sticking around. And they don't have to. We don't have to keep these people. We don't have to keep these platforms because there were parties before this. There will be parties after this if people like me have a say-so. People like you who don't like the ones that are there. We don't have to keep this. We don't have to be content with the system. If you don't like it, change it, right?
Vote for other ones, yes.
Well, that's the problem, you see. You can try to vote for other ones, but the two established ones keep hamstringing the creation of new ideas.
Because neither one of them wants to be challenged.
I'm going to borrow something from G-Webs. Congress works best when it's in, or government works best when it's in gridlock. You've heard him say it before. I've said it before.
Which he stole that from another politician.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I used to disagree with
No,
it.
he absolutely did.
He did.
The longer I heard it, the more I understood it. Because the more I looked over at British Parliament, the more I figured out what it meant. You see, they don't have two parties over there. They have a bunch of different voices over there. I don't know how many parties it is, but they have a bunch of voices over there. And what ends up happening is they argue almost to the point of fist fights daily, and that nothing ever gets passed. And the few things that do are slam dunks that nobody can say, nah, it's a bad idea. Like, it's so obvious that it's a good idea that those are the only things that pass. Now, gun control, obviously, in England, really stupid. But by and large, most of the things that are decided upon in a parliament over there, it has to be an overwhelming majority to make it pass. Otherwise, it just dies on the vine. We have this or that, and this or that is corruptible by bargaining with this or that. They fight each other, and they look like they're at each other's throats, just like the WWF of the 80s. And at the end of the day, when all the lights turn off and all the cameras turn off, they're all eating and drinking together because they're part of the same corrupt entity. They will work with one another to get whatever they want passed for themselves. They serve themselves. They barely serve us. They won't even listen to us. When's the last time you were able to contact a congressman and literally sit down with him?
Sit down? No. Talk on the phone? Yes.
No. My mentor actually sat down with my congressman last week. Now, it took him 2 years to do it, but I mean, honestly, that's an outlier. Most people, they're just like, they don't have time for that because they're too busy feeding their own self-interest. The only reason my mentor actually got to speak to my congressman is because my congressman's a freshman congressman. He's not part of any committee yet because nobody knows who the fuck he is. So he's got nothing but time. But like an established congressman, when's the last time you got to sit down with one? Ever.
All right.
They're too busy trying to run for re-election.
Right.
That's all. That's their only job. And then people keep re-electing these people because they're only used to seeing the same name on the ballot. They're like, oh, he must be good. He's still there. Seriously.
Nope, not arguing with that.
Diarrhea shake or shit sandwich. Oh, these must be good. They're on the menu every day.
No, they're not. Not at all. Travis, you have anything you want to add?
No, man, it's just scary times we're heading into, and I don't know, man. It's nuts. We'll just have to see what happens and stay vigilant, man. That's all I can say. But
talk about December. What's coming up in December? What's the
man,
ATF
okay.
to do to the people in December?
What's coming up in December?
Investigation. Oh, me? You want me to talk about it or what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is it? The executive order? I can't. Was it 10657 It's to push for investigating into a central digital bank currency, essentially.
No, the pistol brace thing.
Oh, I was talking about the currency, the Biden dollar you guys were talking about. Yeah, the brace. What, the brace definition? No, is it braces? I haven't been following braces because I've been following more of the 80% stuff.
Yes, the pistol brace redefinition.
Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, we're gonna be told what essentially is. What I don't even know is, are we even gonna be allowed to own it? Nobody knows anything.
Is the receiver redefinition also in that?
Yes.
No, that got put on.
They're pushing this past the midterms, and they thought.
Yeah, because if they try and do this, the Democrats will get their asses handed to them.
Well, see, here's the best part about that. They think they're doing that because they're clever, right? This is a golden opportunity for people like us that are looking at people that are running to elect people to get the current ones out. And we can say, hey, I'll tell you what, I like what you say, and I would like to see you push that guy out. But if you don't make this your sole priority and smack the ATF down and say, who the fuck gave you that authority? Then I'm not going to put you in power because then you have no use to me. Remember who you serve. We elect you because we entrust you to handle the stuff that we just don't have time to do ourselves.
Yeah.
So we can do soccer practice and kung fu and Cobra Kai or whatever.
Cobra Kai. Yeah.
I think Sean is at the let me tell you stage.
I think he is too. But he brings up a good point. We should all double down and contact our legislators, the ones that are running, as well as the ones that are currently in power, and let them know how unhappy we are.
Right.
We should all do that. If you're not doing that already, what
I
the
have,
hell?
and I've gotten form letters saying back from my senators that basically they don't give a crap.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
that's the
keep
point.
doing it. Keep
Those
doing
are
it.
the ones
I'm
you
doing it
don't
too,
elect.
and I get the same shit. I get the same shit from at least one representative because my House representative is Democrat instead of Republican, and I get the same shit message from him every single time. That's cookie cutter, but I still call him and let him know that I'm not happy with how he's doing things.
These are the people you don't elect. They are the old breed. They're the old-fashioned way of doing
it. And
so
I told him the first Republican candidate that actually steps up and runs against you, I'm voting for him, and I hope he gets your ass out of Congress. And I
Find
told him
the
that.
one who does it. You have to be like, look, you have time to tell your constituents to vote for you because you're going to go on the record saying that you will stop the ATF from overreach. Do that before the midterms because they have pushed this opinion past the midterms. They gave us time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a golden opportunity. Seize it. Run on it and see how many people back you. Or don't run on it and watch how fast you become irrelevant.
Exactly. And this has been a really good conversation. I think we knocked this one out of the park this evening.
I tell people all the time, any political, legal issue that's plaguing this country right now, in any facet of society, I can tie it to gun rights. Because at the end of the day, it was never about the gun. It was always about your rights. It's always about your liberties and your freedoms, and the fact that they're trampled on daily.
And it's always about the one very important thing that we're playing. We're treating like a sports team these days: politics. Anyways, with that, I think we've pretty much run the hour. We've knocked this one out of the park. So let's go through the room and let everybody know what you guys are doing. If you've got anything you want people to know about or see, please plug your channels and whatnot. So, Travis, you're up first.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say this just wasn't a hit this evening. This was a grand slam. So, panel was on point. I think all the points were really well made. As for cheap plugs, let's see, I'll be dropping a new video tomorrow about 5 o'clock. I've been putting them out in the evenings on Wednesdays instead of Wednesday morning. It kind of helps a little bit more with views and circulation and stuff. So I'll have a new video that'll be coming out tomorrow. Let's see what else is going on. Just make sure you check out Caliber Corner Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time. We will have an episode this Saturday. Otherwise, I think that's about it. So if you want to find me, just type Travis P11 and you can see all the different social networks that I'm located on and click and watch wherever you want. So yeah, appreciate the invite, man. And corgis too. Absolutely. We got corgis. We got guns and ammo dogs and ammo cats and all that fun stuff.
Well,
so,
Travis leaves me with my question.
What's your question?
If we lose you before your time, who does the corgi go to?
That's a good question. It's probably gonna have to go to Sean because he's the dog master. He's the dog
no. I've got enough land for the corgi.
Well, but he doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, so he doesn't get through swamps really well.
No, so, I don't have any swamp. It's good. It's all more
solid. Like a bodyguard for the Yorkies, I think. So, and Yorkshire Terrier, Welsh Pembroke Corgi. It's kind of a reunion of the British Isles. Yeah. So I think it would probably work best that way. So.
All right.
Yeah.
There's that. Scott, is there anything you want to let everybody know about, or you got any words of wisdom?
Screw the government.
Okay, we'll go. We'll work with that. Sean.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for tolerating me. I host this little show on Fridays called The War Room, where we basically just cover the facets of what's going on in Ukraine and abroad. Other than that, I literally did this entire show while running a premiere for another video that's going on right now, actually. But I know it's not for everybody. Other than that, no, it's cool. God save the king, I suppose.
Not Charles. Anyways,
I'll give him a chance.
I'm not giving him a chance. No way. Roll call. Thanks for jumping in, buddy. Thanks for giving us your perspective. You want to let anybody know about a channel you may have and videos you may do?
Yeah, man, I got a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel. If you're new or you just ain't never heard of me, you should go over there and check them out. I'm controversial, and no, I don't hate CloverTac. And I have a show on Wednesday nights, 9:30, 10ish. Whenever my lazy ass wants to get up and fire up the computer, and then you guys can come over there and have a chat on Wednesday nights, and then we can talk about some other things that have gone on. And usually Night Strike joins me, but he doesn't like that show anymore, so he hasn't been on it forever.
No. I've had some things going on. I'll tell you on the aft chat. Okay.
Are you saying he's pulling a Smeggy?
Yeah, he smeggied me out. It's all right. It's okay. I got smeggied. It's okay.
Well, at least we
That
know
sounds rude.
Night Strike
That
didn't.
sounds like something that needs a mop and a bucket.
It does,
Yeah,
doesn't
right?
it?
Yeah,
It does,
but
doesn't it?
Got
But you know,
smeggied last night.
but Smeggy's magic snow. That's
Smeggy everywhere.
yeah. But that's all I got, man.
all right. So everyone, check out Roll Call 219's channel. Check out Sean Ponery's channel, and check out Travis P11's channel. You'll find them. You see, you'll find them. Don't worry about it. With that, we're gonna end this on a shall not be infringed note. I'm not gonna yell it, but we will see you guys next week. We'll probably have more topics, and I don't know, depending on how things go, there may be more videos in the future. Who knows? So with that,
You didn't do the poll.
I didn't do the poll. You're right. I didn't do the poll. I'll put it on the community tab. I said I'd either put it on the YouTube.
Just tell the slacker he's got to do it every Tuesday.
But I'm gonna put the poll on the community tab, so everyone check out the Night Strike 1 YouTube channel community tab once we're done, and we'll go with that. So with that,
slacker better be an option.
shall not be infringed. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you all for listening. This was Hit or Miss. How do I turn this damn thing off?
Hey, Felicia, when you gonna call me, girl?
Hashtag him and his too.
Te amo, Felicia. Felicia Navidad.
Te amo. Mi amor, siempre. Te amo, Felicia.
Felicia Navidad.
Felicia Navidad.
What's this button do?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to tell.